Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 10 of virtual launch for Sacrament Year 2 students. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you had a nice time with your family. Hope you're able to stay safe and stay healthy. And even if you weren't able to get together with your entire family this year, again, because of circumstances with the pandemic, I hope that you were able to maybe find another way to connect with people in your family that you didn't get to see. Maybe a Zoom call, maybe a FaceTime, maybe you called them on the phone. I hope you were able to keep in touch with them some way that way. Had to think outside the box a little bit. But anyways, hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And you know what? Before we get started with our lesson for this week, the most important thing I want to say to everybody is congratulations! Yay! Your first reconciliation was awesome. I am so proud of all of you. It was really a special night for all of us here in the launch department. I hope it was a special night for you and your family too. I know for me especially, it was really neat to be able to see you guys like in person. I have been, just talking to my computer screen for the last 10 weeks, and it was really special for me to get to meet all of you and see all your faces, and get to see you and celebrate that special moment with you. So even though we all had our masks on, it was really special. It was really special for me to get to see you guys in person. So I am so happy for y'all. I hope that, like I said, I hope it was a special moment for you. At least from the kids that I was working with on First Reconciliation Night, I could tell afterwards, I could see the joy, and I could see it was just a grace-filled moment for you. I mean, I know I couldn't see your big smiles because, of course, we were all wearing masks, but I could still tell from your faces that it had been a special moment, and I was really, really happy for you guys. And like I said, congratulations. That was a really big deal. You guys did great, and I'm so proud of you. It was just awesome. So, yay. Good for you. Pat yourself on the back. And the next one that we're going to be getting ready for is First Communion in the spring. So the excitement keeps on coming here. So like I told you at the beginning, this is a big year for you guys, really big year. So one sacrament down, one to go. All right. So before we start getting into that, because we'll start talking more about First Communion when we come back in January after Christmas break. But for now, we've got about 3 weeks here before we break for Christmas. So we're going to be talking about Advent today, and then also a little bit more about Jesus. All right. So let's talk about Advent first, and then I'll talk about what the book lessons are for this week. So this week is the first week of Advent. Right, first week of Advent. Advent is the 4 weeks that lead up to Christmas, right? So, and it is a time of preparation. It's a time for waiting, hopefully waiting with hope and excitement, okay? Because we're getting ready for Jesus to come, right? We're celebrating, of course, Christmas, which is when Jesus was born. We celebrate Jesus coming to earth. So we remember that during Advent, but we also use Advent as a time to remind us that Jesus is going to come back a second time. Now, we don't know when that's going to be. I mean, the only person who knows is God, and he hasn't told anybody. So, but we use Advent as a time to remind us that Jesus has been here on earth once before, and he will be coming again. And we want to make sure that we're ready for him. Okay, so it's preparation, it's excitement, and it's waiting with a lot of hope. That's what Advent is all about. It's actually a very joyful time, okay? Let's talk about some of the symbols that we have for Advent. So you can see behind me over there, we've got an Advent wreath set up on the table here in room 30. And you will also see an Advent wreath in the church. There's a really big one that they have on a stand in front of the altar. Some of you might also have Advent wreaths in your home. So let's talk about why those Advent wreaths, what's important about the Advent wreath, because there's a lot of symbolism associated with it. All right, so first of all, let's start with the wreath itself, all right? What shape is it in? It's a circle, right? Wreaths are usually a circle, okay? Well, a circle, if you think about it, a circle has no beginning and no end. So it is eternal. It symbolizes that God is eternal. God has no beginning and no end. God has always existed. God always will exist. So just like the circle is continuous and never ending, God is also continuous and never ending. All right? what is the Advent wreath made out of? Take a look at it. You can see. Okay? It's made out of evergreen branches or evergreen, from evergreen trees. So let's think back to your science class. What are evergreen trees? Well, they are the trees that stay green all year round. They do not, their leaves don't change color and fall off in the fall, okay? So again, the symbolism behind that is just like evergreen leaves are, they don't change. They're always the same all year round. They do not change color. They don't fall to the ground and then come back in the spring. They are unchanging, just like God is unchanging. God always is. God does not go away and then come back. He's always there, okay? So again, that's why the wreaths are made out of these evergreen branches, okay? And then on the wreath, you've got 4 candles, okay? And the one here on the table behind me only has 1 candle. We add a new candle for each week. But for example, on the Advent wreath that you see in the church, it's got all 4 candles on the wreath, and then each week we light the correct number of candles. So for the first week, we light 1 candle. For the second week, we light 2. For the third week, we light 3. And for the fourth week, we light 4, okay? And you'll also notice the colors of the candles, okay? You've got 3 purple candles and 1 pink candle, all right? So pink and purple are the colors for Advent, okay? It's not red and green and white like Christmas. No, the colors for Advent are purple and pink, okay? The first 2 weeks are the purple candles. The third week is the pink candle. The fourth week goes back to purple. You'll also see those same colors repeated, not just on the candles, but also in the decorations in the church and in the color of the vestments or the robes that the priest is wearing each week. So pay attention to that. Not just the candles, but also, like I said, the decorations in the church and the color of the robes that the priest wears. Now, why is the third week pink? That is always a question. Why is that one pink? Well, the third week of Advent is called Gaudete Sunday. Okay, Gaudete is a Latin word and it means rejoice. Okay, so it means it's kind of like the halfway point, like, hey, we're getting close. Christmas is almost here. So the reason they change the colors to kind of catch your attention, like, get ready. Christmas is almost here. Jesus is almost here. Let's make sure we're ready. Okay, and it's also, like I said, Advent is a joyful time. So the pink is rejoicing and joy. Okay. So that's why the third candle is pink, and that's why the priest wears the pink robes, and you'll see the pink banners in the church, because it's kind of just a reminder, like, Jesus is almost here, it's almost time, get ready, okay? So the colors for Advent are purple and pink, and then each week of Advent has a word that's associated with it. So for example, the first week of Advent, the focus is on hope. The second week of Advent, the focus is love. The third week of Advent, like I said, the focus is joy. That's the pink week. And then the fourth week of Advent is peace, okay? So those are the words that are associated with each week of Advent. And again, if you notice, those are all words that we can use to describe Jesus, or when we're talking about Jesus. Hope, love, joy, peace, all good words to describe Jesus, okay? Now, why do we have candles on the Advent wreath? That's another. The candles are symbolic too. Well, first of all, the candles are symbolic of Jesus is the light of the world, okay? He's the light that shines into the darkness of sin, that shines into the darkness of the world and brings light and joy and peace and love and all those good things to this world. Because, of course, the world is full of sin, right? Sin has entered the world, thanks to Adam and Eve and original sin, but Jesus is the light that drives that darkness of sin out of our lives and out of the world, okay? So that's one thing, that's the big thing that the candles symbolize. And then also, the candles are symbolic because, as you think about the days, right? It gets darker a little bit earlier each day, doesn't it? As we're moving through fall and into the winter, the number of daylight hours gets shorter and the number of the hours in darkness get longer, okay? So again, it's a good reminder to us that Jesus is the light. He helps us to see through the darkness. Even when we're in a time of the year where there's more darkness than light, there's always Jesus, who is the light of the world and who brings that light into our lives as well, okay? The other thing that's kind of unique, where's I going with this? I lost my train of thought. The other thing that's unique about Advent, or not unique, but special about Advent, is Advent marks the beginning of the church's year. Okay, so it's the beginning of the liturgical year in the church, which is kind of funny because it's at the end of the calendar year, right? Like, according to the calendar, we don't celebrate New Year's until January 1st. But in the church, the liturgical calendar starts with the first week of Advent. So this year, it's November 29th is actually the New Year's for the church's liturgical year. So if you think about it, though, it kind of makes sense because Advent is getting us ready and leads us up to Christmas. And what do we celebrate on Christmas? Jesus being born. So the beginning of Jesus' time on earth. So it kind of makes sense that you would want to start the liturgical year with the birth of Jesus, right? Beginning, a new baby, a birth, beginning of the liturgical year. It kind of makes sense. Once you kind of think about it, it's like, oh, I see what they were doing there. Okay. So Advent is the first week of Advent is kind of like New Year's in the church's liturgical calendar, even though it is at the end of the calendar year for us in November and December. All right. So that is a little bit about Advent. One of the optional activities for you that's down at the bottom of the Google Sites is you can find the link that will take you to the instructions and the templates for making your own Advent wreath. If you would like to make one, it's real easy. It's just cutting out paper and coloring and gluing, doing some cutting and gluing. Really simple, not too complicated, but if that's something that you would be interested in doing, I've got the instructions and the template for that at the bottom of this Google Sites. When you click on the activity link, it'll take you to the folder that's got all that information for you. Again, you might have an Advent wreath at home. You could also make one yourself. You just need like a plate or some kind of a circular platter. You can get some evergreen branches either from outside in your yard or maybe if you went to like a plant nursery, and then you just need some candles. Just need 4 candles. And if you can't find purple or pink candles, you can just take construction paper and kind of wrap it around them. Okay, so it's really easy. Your parents or your adults could help you with that if you would like to make one yourself that way. All right, so that is a little bit about Advent, which of course starts this week. Now, what are we going to be talking about in your lesson this week? Well, we are doing session 3. I know, it's backwards. Remember, we skipped over session 3? I don't know if you remember a few months ago. We skipped over session 3 and I said, don't worry, we're going to come back to it. Well, here we are. We're coming back to it. All right. So session 3 is called Jesus. It's about Jesus as our Savior. Jesus is our rescuer. Okay. So for this week, you're going to be focusing on session 3, episodes 1 and 2. Only 2 videos this week. Easy. Okay. They're all about Jesus. So the first one is talking about how Jesus is our rescuer. Jesus is our Savior. And what does he save us from? He saves us from our sins, right? This should all seem very familiar since we just had first reconciliation, all right? And then the second episode is talking about Jesus's birth and childhood. Again, it lines up really perfectly with Advent since we're getting ready for Christmas, which celebrates Jesus's birth. So it'll be a nice little introduction, nice little talk about Jesus's birth and childhood. We don't know a whole lot about Jesus's childhood. There's not a lot written about it in the Bible, but we do know a few things. So I will let Ben and Sarah do all the explaining there because they're more fun and entertaining. Again, back to the optional activities. If you're interested, I did find 2 other cute little cartoon videos that talk about, one is about Jesus growing up, and one is about the story when, and again, this one is in the Bible, when Mary and Joseph found Jesus in the temple in Jerusalem. Okay, they had gone to Jerusalem to celebrate one of the Jewish holidays because Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were Jewish. They belonged to the Jewish faith. And then on their way back to Nazareth, back home, they realized that Jesus was missing. So Mary and Joseph ran back to Jerusalem and they found Jesus there in the temple. Okay, and I'll let you watch the video to get the rest of that story. But just to clarify, you might be like, well, what's a temple? Okay. Well, the temple, or it's also called a synagogue, that is the name of the building where Jewish people go to worship God. Okay, so as Christians, we call our building where we worship God a church. Jewish people call the building where they worship God a synagogue or a temple. You can hear it, they use either word. So that's what that is, in case you were wondering. All right. So that is a little bit about what you're going to be learning about this week. Like I said, it's only 2 cartoon videos from Ben and Sarah. Again, it's session 3, episodes 1 and 2. And then when you're done with that, you can do the required quiz and then check out those optional activities at the bottom if you want to. Again, those activities, totally optional. You can do as many or as few as you want. You guys know the drill by now. All right. So again, congratulations on your first reconciliation. I am really, really proud of you guys. That was a big moment. That was really awesome. You guys did great. So proud of you. And yeah, we're getting ready for Advent, and I will see you back here next week. All right. Have a great week, you guys. Bye.